Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You know, this is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Morning Coffees with James. I'm James, and this thing in my hand is my morning coffee show. I hope you liked the little intro in the beginning, because that's going to be a new thing. Morning Coffees with James is going to be a little bit more upper class, a little bit more highbrow, a little bit more high society. But today we're going to be talking about some things first before we get into anything else. So originally my plan was to do an hour-long episode, but with shit going on in my life right about now, it's kind of a nonsensical thing. First off, I want to talk about entertainment recently. So one of the things I want to talk about is the absurdity of the rating system, the idea of censorship, especially from a certain company like Sony and HBO Max, Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam being disarmed, and The Last of Us, and the whole debacle between that. So I want to talk about The Last of Us first, because I think that's a bigger issue than, say, Elmer Fudd not having any guns, because this evolves around the whole situation. But if you didn't know, The Last of Us 2 controversy is stemmed around this idea, not an idea, but a story that is so SJW, LGBTQT, which, you know what? That's not the real issue there. But no, it's this, not SJW. And a lot of people, it's more SJW and less LGBTQT, because, and also more feminazi, because this is what we're seeing nowadays with pop culture. And it's not in the sense of like, it's odd, because for those who don't know, The Last of Us 2 recently came out, and everybody, I mean from fans to casuals to everybody, are blatantly beating the shit out of this game because it is dog shit. Except for the critics who basically, the bought out critics who want their free copy, they want their free shit, they want their exclusives, they want their, their prestige, and so they'll just sell themselves out to make this, to basically get free copies and shit like that. The Last of Us. So Joel basically the story is just so dog shit and insane, because like there's a lot of contradictions, there's a lot of hints and allegations, there's a lot of things that just don't make any sense, and plot holes, and the way they killed off Joel too, by beating him to death at the golf club. And it wasn't Abby who did it. No, it was a guy who looked like the creator of the game, Neil Dickman, or Duckman, or whatever the fuck his name is. I don't care anymore. It's like, Neil Cuckman, I think his name is. Cuckman, we'll call him Cuckman. This, blatant, and there's a lot of other things in the game, too, that don't make any sense. Like, they killed off Joel, who you spent hours, and I mean, video games take a long time to play. In the first Last of Us, and granted, I'm not a huge fan of The Last of Us, but, as somebody who is a fan of certain things, and, like, say, Star Wars and Star Trek, and just seeing these shows get, killed, and hell, even an extent to Doctor Who, which I'm not the biggest Doctor Who fan. I need to go back and watch the other episodes, but it's this, or any franchise that I usually liked, like Terminator or something like that, or Resident Evil, which to that extent I'll explain to you later, or anything like, where you see these like SJW feminazi, Anita Scarsese's influence, you know what I mean, like, or the feminist agenda, and kind of seep in and just kind of destroy shit. And this is a blatant example of this, because I bought Resident Evil. Like, here's an example. I bought Resident Evil 3 Remake. I knew, I didn't give a shit if it was going to be short or not. And I played it. Yeah, it's short. There are some problems with it, but I had fun with it. And I didn't regret my decision to buy it. However, for those who did buy The Last of Us, they're probably regretting it, because you don't like how they presented this story, and the fact that like you have this. Honestly, this is the death of femininity, because I don't care if you're transgender. Like, why in the apocalypse is there a transgender woman? Like, why is like what? That makes no fucking sense. It's like, oh, we gotta include these. It's like, really, you have to include that? Like, what include? Why in the fuck did you include that? And I have nothing against SJW. You know, excuse me. I do have a lot against SJW bullshit, but I don't have anything against the LGBTQTXWXYZ community, the gay straight alliance. I'm gonna call it, because I'm tired of the fucking extra lettering you're putting in it. It's gay or straight alliance. So, fuck off. Sorry, I grew up in the 90s and the 2000s. Back up. Back up. But it's this weird... It's so blatantly weird. You know what I mean? Like, why they will not do that anymore. Like, why in God's name... why... Excuse me, I'm woke up this morning. Like, and furthermore, it's like... You know, I made a joke earlier in one of these videos talking about The Last of Us 2 and calling Abby a fucking super mutant, which, you know what? Yeah, she is a fucking super mutant from Fallout 4, which, by the way, you know, a lot of people talked, not just Fallout 4, but Fallout 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and New Vegas, and the other fucking Fallout games, because if you've ever played the first Fallout game, they are transgender. The super mutants are transgender. Because the whole idea was that the main villain of the first game, the Master, wanted to create this race of super mutants that would be the new rulers of the Earth, but he found out through the player that the mutants are basically sterile, and they are all male. Like, they are all hulking males, including the females. It turns males into females, and it turns men into more gruesome-looking men. And you know what? For a game that came out in 1995, it definitely hit on the note of what was to come. And you know what? And speaking about Abby, there's a scene in the game, which I have to look this up, where Neil Druckmann... The avatar for Neil Druckmann in the game, raw dogs, and I mean raw dogs, no lube, no nothing, just straight up fucks Abby right in the ass, and it's like the most uncomfortable fucking like sex scene, and it just shows this hypocrisy to the whole censorship thing, you know. Oh, anime titties are not cool, but we can have a transgender woman or transgender man, whatever the fuck. I don't get the dynamic of that, okay? You're either a transgender. I'm sorry, but it's such a bullshit concept. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but I am sorry for you, because it's like, look, let's be honest. If you were born, you know, male, and you want to dress up as a female, you're transvestite, okay? If you are the opposite sex of something and you want to be this, yeah, there's surgery for that, but you have to make that a commitment down the road, okay? Sony and their blatant censorship, which really, that's what really fucking pisses me off, and the hypocrisy of censorship as well. Like, oh, we can't have hot anime girls fighting, or big titty women, or we can't have sensuality and sexuality and something that, I don't know the exact words of that, but you can't have, you know, something that's appealing to the eye anymore. Oh, that's dirty. That we have to protect the children, and you know, that's disgraceful against women, so we'll censor everything. And then you allow this butt ugly sex scene. They prance around as like, oh, it's artistic. It is artistic. It's art. It's art. It's like, don't give me the bullshit of art. All right, I know art, and that's not art. That what you were just doing is just it's again another sense of porn. It's another sense of fucking porn, but you don't want to admit it because you are too you're cowards, you know? You know, you're playing off this fantasy, and you have all this, and again, it's mediocre people with mediocre power being like, I can do whatever I want, my power, no. And this is my problem with, like, creator culture from, like, the mainstream media. This is my problem with, I think everybody's problem with, like, these big industries and companies and creators and makers and shit like that who get criticized for making dog shit entertainment, yet will not, and I mean this too, will not take any responsibility for their own failures. Like, granted, I was watching a shit ton of mini documentaries from this guy called Hats Off Entertainment, and one of them, like, he talked about John Candy, and he also talked about Chris Farley, and just those two men are artists in my mind, because Chris Farley and John Candy, anytime their movie failed, they would blame themselves. They would blame themselves for how bad the movie was, or their performance wasn't good. Even though it's like, if you judge an actor on his, like, granted, okay, fine, if the actor didn't do a good job doing it, but I also like to blame the director for not giving him the proper direction. Like granted, like, for example, I don't blame Jared Leto for his Joker. I just blame the direction that they took for him. Like, he could have been a fucking phenomenal Joker. But then again, that's a different topic for a different day. My biggest issue with the whole SJW nonsense thing, I call it SJW nonsense. It's this, hiding behind this, like, I don't have to take any responsibility for how bad of an artist I am because I put this SJW, LGBTQ, I was representing, I was doing this, I'm virtuous. Oh, you're just a man baby and a sexist and a homophobe and a racist, and how dare you criticize my art? It's like, I don't know the exact Roman, like, this is how Rome felt, like, people not admitting to their own shit when it comes to their own art. I mean, I've made some terrible videos in the past, I make some terrible art in the past, but honestly, I'll take the criticism. Like, it helps make you become a better artist, in my mind. Like, for example, Hideo Kojima didn't blame the SJW crowd. He blamed Americans for not understanding gaming. And yeah, he's kind of right in that sense when he talked about, like, most of them just want to play shooters, and he's right. Because we look at the media nowadays of, like, video games, and it's like art, there's this weird divide between, like, the people who just want video games to be video games and the people who want video games to be looked upon as art. And I feel like there is this big divide between those two. But again, it's just one of those weird things that I think people need to understand. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I want video games to be video games, but I also want video games to be looked upon as art. I have 2 feet in both those boats, and I'm like, yo, like, the truth is, it's like we all need to come together. Like, yes, video games need to be video games, but we need those other video games to show that, yeah, this is a good art form. But we can't let it hinder the gaming. Like, we can't let it hinder the gaming, and we can't let it hinder the movement of trying to make good art. Like, I get it, video games need to be art, but the truth is that you need to do both. You need to find that balance. I mean, that's why Metal Gear Solid is such a good game franchise, because it borders on that. It definitely borders on that. It's visual storytelling, it's context through cutscenes, and yet, like, your reward is the cutscene. It's not the opposite way where you're forced to watch the cutscene. And yes, and, like, after a while, you kind of, like, digest it and be like, all right, I get this. I mean, the same thing applies to Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that. I'm looking at the games I do have, so. But my biggest complaint, though, about, again, I will never play The Last of Us because I don't think it's a great game, but it's like, it's the disrespect that I'm more concerned about. Like, again, you've seen this with Star Wars, you've seen this with Doctor Who, you've seen this with Star Trek, you've seen this with comic books, video games, you've seen this with other shit too, and it's like, yo, like, take responsibility for your shitty art. If I were to make a piece of art and it was just like the shittiest looking thing ever, and people were just criticizing it, take it. I would take it and be like, yeah, I made shitty art and I purposely did it. Like, I'm not here to claim my videos are fucking great. Like, and masterpieces of art. They're art, and you cannot destroy art. Yeah, you can, because if it's shit art, the reason why like we're not drawing medieval art anymore, because medieval art is the most shittiest looking art ever. I mean it too. Like if you look at medieval art, it's dog shit. So, okay, let me see here. But yeah, that's the hypocrisy I see with the left's, bullshit. You know what I mean? This like, oh, I can make something that's dog shit impossible, but if I throw in some LGBTQT, if I throw in all the shit that like SJW is like and the feminazis like, and also like, bash white males too, because we can't have a white male anymore. No, we gotta have a strong female lead of black descent, and must be a queer of some fucking sort. You know what? There was a meme out there that showed a bunch of different white guys from different video games. It had Frank West, it had Chris Redfield, Solid Snake, and Big Boss, and Nathaniel Drake, and it goes to 30-year-old white men playing the same generic character of a 30-year-old white man. I'm a cool hipster, white nerd cuck, soy boy. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, first of all, Frank West, Chris Redfield, and Big Boss. Yeah, I'm using Big Boss because Metal Gear Solid 3. Totally different characters. They're not all white males, by the way. Yes, Frank West is not in his 30s. In the first game he was, but now he's like in his 40s, so... Well, now he's 50. It's like, give the motherfucker a break, alright? And Frank West is more interesting than, say, Chris Redfield. Which, Chris Redfield is a cool character. Let me be honest, but, like... It just fucking baffles the mind. And again, this whole hatred towards the white cis male gender. Like, you know what? Fuck you. It's a white heterosexual male. Don't call me a cis male. Fuck off. And yes, I want more games to have white males in their 30s with brown to dark hair. Please. It's like, don't you fucking say otherwise. Don't you say otherwise. Because you can kiss my white Irish ass from that one. Fucking Christ almighty. And you know what? Don't play The Last of Us, because it's a dog shit game anyway. It's, you know what? It's an overrated walkathon with, like, mediocre fucking controls. Alright, what else can I talk about besides The Last of Us? I do want to talk about the censorship, though, of this. And again, this goes to HBO Max and Elmer Fudd being disarmed, too. Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam have been disarmed in the Looney Tune cartoons, which now, speaking of, because this is going to evolve around the whole censorship thing, and especially with Sony, too. Why the fuck did you just censor Elmer Fudd? Why did you take away their guns? That's the part of their character. Yosemite Sam is a wild cowboy, and Elmer Fudd is this dopey hunter. Like, okay, so you don't like guns. Like, and this is a leftist thing. You don't like, and then far left, you don't like guns. You don't like people who are gun nuts. You hate the far right. These two characters mock them. Like, they mock people with guns. They mock the gun, they mock crazy people with guns in a sense. Not just, woohoo, crazy people with guns. I mean, they mock the whole machoism of guns and stuff like that. Like, the fact that Bugs Bunny outsmarts these dudes without using any guns. It's like, why can't you let Bugs Bunny not have a gun? Like, not have a gun. Excuse me. Why can't you let Elmer Fudd or Yosemite Sam pack heat? I mean, the whole point of, like, Elmer Fudd is that he's this dopey hunter who gets outsmarted by a rabbit and a duck. And the fact that you're making blatant fun of them for, being hunters, but for being these dopey, either a dopey hunter or a crazed cowboy or pirate or whatever Yosemite Sam is. Texan, I'll just say, because he's been playing mostly different things, including an Arab. He's Yosemite Sam. It's like, come on now, give me back my pistols. Like, what? For what reason? Oh, because you don't want to create gun culture and these... You people are worse. This is why I don't like the far left or the far right. And I'm hoping that we don't go way back to the far right again with the religious shit and the whole, we need to censor. We need to control everything. It's like, both these sides want to control shit because it was... the same argument coming out of their mouth. And you don't deserve the fucking control. I'm sorry, but the people in the middle deserve the fucking control. Shut the fuck up, Ben Shapiro. Shut the fuck up, Anita Scorsese. Shut the fuck up, everybody on these extreme rights and these extreme lefts. They need to shut the fuck up. And especially with the Yosemite Sam and fucking Elmer Fudd, give them back their rifles and guns. Why? I'll tell you why. Because it makes fun of the hunters. I feel like most of you people out there are vegans or non-hunters. You need that. You need somebody to kind of just lampoon, hunters in this sense. Because, how much, like, why not? Why not, like, lampoon, the dopey hunter? Why not lampoon that character? Elmer Fudd is that perfect thing. And take this fucking camera is dog shit absolute. All right. It just bugs the shit out of me. It really does bug the shit out of me. I mean, you can't... It's like Dynamite is a lot worse. Has anybody seen Django Unchained where Quentin Tarantino just gets blown the fuck up by dynamite? Dynamite is a lot... It's not like a grenade where it's like... this is my problem with fucking liberals and people in art entertainment. They don't do their research on anything. And this is why I don't like them. Because they have this idea that, I went to college. I'm automatically smart. I don't need to learn anymore. I know. I just observe and I know I'm smart. Just because I'm smart doesn't mean I have to learn anything. I know everything. It's like, you're worse than... This is why I don't like liberals. Because nobody does their educational thing. When anytime you have dealing with a smart person, they're usually dumb because it's like they don't do their fucking research on anything. At least Tony Stark did research when he was in the first Avengers movie. When did you learn quantum physics and shit like that? 3 hours ago? Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so... It bugs the shit out of me that, TNT, a heavy fucking object crushing your skull is okay. This is the hypocrisy I hate about this. And also the fact that, the censorship, too, of art. You know what I mean? You're not allowed to have, apparently if you go on HBO, I don't know where it's at, but I think Disney Plus, Disney Plus, before you even watch the movie Aliens, they'll say, they'll have some shit in there that's okay, violence, whatever, what have you, this, that. They'll have language that is outdated. Language that is outdated. Outdated language, that's what it was. Outdated language. And I'm like, what the fuck? Again, we're living in a dystopia. My friend was right. We're living in a dystopia. And you know what? We gotta start fighting back. I think I've gone long enough on this as it is. But I just want to say, this is absolute madness. It is. It's absolute dog shit crazy madness. And we need to just step up and just be like, no more. I don't want to live in a dystopic future anymore like this. It's like... I feel like this is why I want to be part of creative culture, I want to be part of that. I want to be part of this, we need to start making shit again. We need to start having people make things because they're just destroying our pop culture. The reason why I'm joining Doomcock's, Victor Von Doomcock's, Legion of Supervillains is because I want to protect pop culture. I want to protect art. And art's more important than anything else for me. I'm not I get too political. Yes, I understand that. But the truth is that there's a reason why I get political. There's a reason why. It all affects everything. Gone on the, this statue is a racist thing. This piece of art is racist. It's racism. Racism. We gotta kill racism. Everything's racist. We must destroy the earth because it's racist. We must destroy life because racism. It's like, you're not helping anybody. You are the cancer. You're not the cure. You're the fucking cancer that is killing society. You are cancer culture. Okay, I think I've gone long enough. With that being said, we need to step up. We need to start fighting. So, this has been Morning Coffees with James. I hope you like this new version of it. Take care, love you, and bye-bye. Remember to stay fucking awesome.